Hi everybody and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you're new here, my name is Leah and most of my videos is focused on unsolved crimes and mysteries. I do deep dive and investigation into cases that doesn't make any sense at all. I try to come up with new information, new clues and realistic theories about what might have occurred. If you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. I'm so happy to have you here with me. I also have some big news. I opened a second channel called My Turkish Life and Adventures. I'm talking about everything from earthquakes to local markets to road trips, residency in Turkey, how you move to Turkey, and there's so many crazy things happening here all the time. So I'm gonna post a link down below and then you can follow me there as well if you want. I also want to say if you hear some noise in the background, it's just a fan. I have a fan going because I couldn't take it anymore. It is so hot. My chest was shiny, my face was shiny, and I just looked like I just came out of a pool. So if you see my hair waving in the winds, it's not because I'm doing a Jennifer Lopez on stage and trying to look hot with my wavy hair. It's just a fan because I'm boiling. If you know what I mean, yeah? Yeah. Today's case is a very tragic story and extremely disturbing and sad. It's very sad. It's a very sad story about a family that lost their daughter, and officials like the police say that it was a suicide. They closed the case, signed the report, and said the cause of death was suicide. They claim that she jumped in front of a train and there was no further investigation. They just assumed suicide straight away and closed the report pretty fast. But her sisters and her mom and dad, they are 100% convinced that she didn't commit suicide. This was a murder. So I've been looking into the case and I can't say for sure if it was a murder or it was an accident or if she actually did commit suicide. Normally I have an opinion of what I think happened, but as you know, I'm very honest, and in this case, I have theories for a suicide, I have theories for a murder, and I also have theories for an accident. But which one it is that's true, if any of them is true, I just don't know. I really, honestly, truly don't know. This case is so complicated. But before we start today's video, I do have to put out a warning and say it is very disturbing. It's very graphic because I have to go into details about how she died and what happened to her when she died. So if it's too much for you, I recommend that you don't watch this video because it is very disturbing. And I also have to say that if anyone out there watching it that knows Tiffany, I have to say that it's very disturbing, it's very graphic, and I want you to know I'm not interested in hurting anyone's feelings. I'm just going into all the details to create a theory about a murder, an accident, and suicide. I have to cover all three scenarios. So I just want to let you know, I don't intend to hurt anyone's feelings. I don't want to offend anyone. I'm not trying to upset anyone. I'm just trying to find the truth about what happened. So if you're ready and you're still here with me, let's get started. Tiffany Valiante was an 18-year-old girl living at home in Mays Landing in New Jersey, where she stayed with her mom Diane and her father Stephen. Tiffany was a very happy, outgoing, and very positive girl and was really loved and adored by family and friends. She had just graduated from high school and was so excited about attending New York Mercy College on a volleyball scholarship. She was 6 feet tall and was really energetic and very athletic. She had already made plans with a roommate in the college, and it would just be a fresh start with new beginnings for Tiffany. She had a very bright future ahead of her. 6 months prior to her passing, she had just come out and told her parents that she was gay and had a girlfriend. Her parents, they took it really well, but in her mom's opinion, she was just going through a phase. About 1 week before her passing, her and her girlfriend broke up, but it was a decision they both agreed on, and according to Tiffany's phone records, she had already found a new girlfriend. The night Tiffany passed away, her and her family went across the street to her cousin's house to celebrate her graduation. They had a really great time at the party, and everybody was laughing and smiling and congratulating Tiffany's cousin. Tiffany left the party at 9:15 p.m. and returned back home. Shortly after, her mother received a phone call from a close friend of Tiffany's asking her to meet her outside the house because she wanted to talk to her. So Diane and Steven, they returned home to find Tiffany's friend outside the house screaming and shouting at Tiffany, accusing her of using her debit card without her knowledge. Tiffany denied everything and asked her what she was talking about, but after a few minutes, her friend left, and Tiffany admitted to her mom that it was actually true. She did use her credit card or debit card without permission. Diane asked her what she was thinking and that she should know better. She told her she was gonna go inside to get her dad. When they came back outside after a few minutes, Tiffany was gone. They called her and texted her, begging her to come back home and telling her how much they loved her and they could fix this problem and talk about it, but they never got an answer. Steven's Deer camera captured the last photo of Tiffany, which shows her exiting the area at 9:28 p.m. They went out searching for Tiffany everywhere and they were walking up and down the street to try and locate her. Steven said there was at least 20 or 30 cars driving up and down the street that night. They were searching for her everywhere and they actually didn't think she would have walked far because it was dark and Tiffany, she was terrified of the dark. Tiffany's uncle, Michael Valiante, joined the search and discovered police officers around the railroad tracks. They said an individual had been struck by the train and the New Jersey Transit Police was handling the case. Michael asked the police if they had seen a very tall, athletic girl passing through, and they said they didn't, but the person who had been struck by a train seemed to be a female. They asked Michael if he could identify the body. Michael made a positive identification of Tiffany. He went with the police back home to the family to tell them what had happened. When they found Tiffany's body, she was only wearing underwear and a sports bra. And at the scene, they found a small axe with stains on it, and they found a large pool of blood laying next to the rails. They interviewed the train driver, and first he said that Tiffany, she was standing next to the rails, and when the train came, she dove in front of the train. When he was interviewed again under oath, he actually admitted that he didn't see Tiffany at all until it was too late and the train was on top of her. Already the day after, when they read the newspaper, it already stated that Tiffany Valiante had committed suicide by jumping in front of a train. Her family was in shock because they knew there was no way that Tiffany, she would ever kill herself. With the large amount of blood found next to the rail and the axe found in the area with stains on it, made them think that she was murdered, dragged to the rails, and laid on the tracks to cover up a crime. They said Tiffany was a very happy girl and she wasn't depressed and she didn't have stress and everything was fine. And 6 months before she passed away, she came out and told her family that she was gay. She had been in a relationship with another woman that she just broke up with the Friday before she died. And Tiffany, according to her text messages on her phone, she seemed to have found a new girlfriend. And in a text, she actually wrote the new girl that she was very happy and very content with her life. So the family, of course, knew their daughter very well, and they said she didn't have any problems at all. She was so happy about going to college. She had made plans for the future. She had planned the next day to go to a grand adventure with some friends. She had plans of her future. Why would she kill herself? They said she was so happy and didn't have any stress or problems at all. I don't know Tiffany, and therefore I have no idea what she was struggling with, if she was even struggling at all. She seemed to be very, very close to her parents. She was 18 years old and was still living at home. And when they say she was happy, why should I believe otherwise? Well, I have some things that I believe could have been a major stress factor for her. Tiffany had just broken up with her girlfriend, and within a week, she had a new girlfriend. So was she moving forward that fast to forget the pain or the heartbreak she might have felt with the breakup? I know they said they agreed on the breakup, but no matter how much you agree on a breakup, it's never easy and it's always gonna hurt you a little bit. Nobody ever really knows what's going on inside somebody because some people don't like to share their deepest feelings. So even though that Tiffany told people that she was just fine and moved on to a new girlfriend, she could have been heartbroken inside. We don't know. She was just got caught by her friend spending money on her debit card without her permission. The friend was very, very angry and was screaming and shouting at her in public. And Tiffany, she could have feared that the whole circle of friends would find out and cut her off. Maybe her reputation would be ruined. Maybe the rumors of her stealing would reach the college before she even started there, so her life there would actually be over before it even began. So when she got there, it wouldn't be a fresh start anymore because people would already have an opinion on her before she even arrived. 6 months before she passed away, she came out and told her family that she was gay. Her mom said she thought it was just a phase she was going through, but it could also have been a huge stress factor for Tiffany because not everyone support gay people, and they can be quite hard on them and bully them and test their limits, if you know what I mean. I love gay people. I have no problem with them whatsoever. A lot of my friends are gay, so I don't mind them at all. But not everybody feel like I do. That there's hate crimes being done because people are gay. It's ridiculous, but it does happen, unfortunately. So if that news reached the wrong people, she could have been bullied hardcore. She also stole money from her parents' bank account and would probably have been in trouble for that. And now she just got caught again and was standing face to face with both her parents again, and was probably feeling very, very ashamed. And she had a really hard time confronting that issue again, so she decided to leave or escape the situation. So let's talk about the first theory. Was it an accident or was it in fact a suicide? Try to put yourself in Tiffany's state of mind when she left her house. She walks up Tilton Road and she's really, really stressed out, possibly angry and sad. Sometimes when your emotions and thoughts push you to the limit, you walk where you want to walk. You might be walking in your own bubble and all your thoughts are just spinning around. You don't even think about the darkness or who you can meet on your route. You just want to get away as fast as possible. So at some point on her walk, she gets close to Barrett Outdoor Living. She walks in between the trees and bushes and stops for a minute to try and figure out what she's gonna do next. She don't want to worry her parents by the fact that she won't be coming back, and she would never be found. She knew they were looking for her and might even have reported her missing, so a search team would be sent out to look for her as well. Is it possible that she took off her shoes and her headband and left it there on purpose? The search team would find it, and her parents would definitely be able to identify her shoes and her headband. And of course, the search team would know that she would be close by and would find her on the rails. I'm not saying she did commit suicide. She could have walked to the rails and realized what she was doing and changed her mind. But the train was coming and she might have been standing too close to the rails. So when the train came with 80 miles an hour, the strong wind can actually cause you to lose your balance and fall, and you can be sucked under the train. I decided to look up prior cases of suicides and accidents involving trains, and this is what I learned. A modern train is built to be comfortable and quiet, and when it drives in an area with trees and bushes that are so compact and very close to the rails, it dims the noise of the train, so she might not even have heard the train until it was too late. The headlights on a train is designed to point downwards on the rails, so the train driver has a clear view of any obstacles on the rails. They do not have a clear view of any of the sides of the rails or the train, so that could explain why the train drivers they didn't see her until it was too late. Walking or sitting on the rails can be extremely dangerous because you won't feel any vibration from the train until it's about 300 meters away from you. And with a train going 80 miles an hour, you will only have seconds to get off the rails. The big question in this case has been, how did Tiffany get from where she left her shoes to where she was found? It was 1.7 miles without getting any bruises or cuts under her feet. Well, listen to this. A passenger train going 80 miles an hour needs between 1 and 1.25 of a mile to a full stop. So if Tiffany was hit by the train close to her shoes, she could have been sucked under the train and be dragged. The distance she was dragged by the train makes almost a perfect match to the distance where people thought she was walking. So you might be thinking, if she was hit by the train close to her shoes, why was there no evidence there that she had been struck by a train, like bloodstains or anything like that? You're not going to believe what I'm going to tell you now, but it's public information, so you can look it up online. A train is so heavy and the wheels on the train is so sharp, so when it dismembers you or cut you, it can temporarily seal your wounds, which explains why there wasn't anything found of Tiffany close to her shoes. But just to be sure about some of these claims, I contacted a man in America that has studied and documented trains for about 20 years. And here's what he explained to me. So let's have a talk about Tiffany's shoes. I have looked at the picture of her shoes and her headband so many times, and there's just something that I find a bit strange. Why is the shoe so clean inside and outside? Is it not the original picture? Even her headband looks white. It does look like it has a few stains of dirt, but to me it looks like some dirty fingers did some tapping on the headband to make it look a little bit dirty, but the surrounding area on the headband is completely white. So I decided to check the weather from the 12th of July 2015 and 3 weeks forward. 1 or 2 times there was really heavy rain, and about 7 times there was light rain, and it had been windy a few times as well. So to me, you would think they would be a lot more dirty, so I decided to look into those shoes if they were actually worn that night. So I took the picture from the deer cam and I used a program to clean the photo so it would be more sharp. I put it through infrared editing and I tried to put the shoes in different lights, all the way down to what almost looks like an X-ray of the shoe. I was looking for those metal decorations on the inside of the shoe, and I can't seem to find them on the picture. I am 100% unprofessional and I could be completely wrong. And that's where I saw this picture of Tiffany that was allegedly taken the same night she passed away, and it's different shoes that she's wearing. The t-shirt could have been changed, but it's the same shorts. If I have to be perfectly honest, I have to admit that if it was my daughter that had been hit by a train and passed away, and all officials, they just announced that it was a suicide and closed the case. Oh my God. If I was 1000% sure this wasn't a suicide, it was a murder, I would want them to reopen the case, investigate, and give me some answers. I must admit, I would be extremely tempted to put a pair of my daughter's shoes and a headband in an area because it would be new evidence and it could force them to reopen the case. Her mom says she walked up and down Tilton Road hundreds of times, desperate to find her daughter's shoes and clothes. They were shiny white, in a dark green and dark brown background. How could they not shine through and be easy to spot? I'm not blaming anyone or accusing anyone of anything. I'm just trying to turn every stone, and as a mom myself, there's nothing I wouldn't do to find out what happened to my daughter. I can promise you that. So let's try and talk about the other theory and say that it was a murder. Tiffany was walking down Tilton Road, very, very stressed and upset and angry. Her thoughts were spinning around and she was walking in a bubble in her very own world, so she wasn't really aware what was going on around her. A car could have stopped and asked her for directions, or she could have been stopped by someone she knew. They try to get her in the car, but she panics and runs. They go after her and tackle her to the ground and threatens her with a beating or with a weapon. They manage to get off her top, shoes and shorts, and Tiffany goes into survival mode and fights them off. She runs in a panic through trees and bushes, but she can't really see anything in the dark, so she finds herself standing direct on the rails as the train is coming. She could also have been running on purpose towards the rails to get away from these guys, and she knew if she could just make it to the other side of the rails, she would be safe, but unfortunately she didn't make it. Or another scenario, the men, they could have caught her again and dragged her to the car. They drove her to that remote area next to the rails where she was found. They killed her and put her body on the rails to cover up a crime. They burn, bury, or hide her clothes there and leave the scene. After they leave the scene, they realizes that they left some evidence behind, an axe and some bloody gloves. They are terrified to get caught. Maybe they still had Tiffany's shoes in their car. Is it possible they returned and planted her shoes and her headband there to get the attention from the police away from the crime scene and confuse them with a new crime scene in the same case? I checked up on the axe. It's a Fisherman X25, a wood cutting axe, and it is a wooded area. Maybe they already had it in the car. Maybe they found it in that remote area. I looked closer at the axe that they found, and in my opinion, if you used it on a human, there would most likely be blood spatter on the handle, but it looks really clean. Yes, there is dark material on the blade, but is it possible that it's just rust from being on the ground outside for a long time? After I read the autopsy report and looked at the impact area on the train and the injuries on Tiffany's body, in my very unprofessional opinion, I think she was standing up facing the train when it hit her. If this was a suicide or she ran onto the rails to get away from someone and was surprised by the train, we don't know the answer to that. There's a few things that I just want to put in and mention. The picture that Steven got off his deer camera of Tiffany, there was some headlights seen on the picture and people draw conclusions about, oh, that could be the car that picked her up. I don't think so. I don't believe that because Steven said there was 20 to 30 cars driving up and down that road that night. So those headlights could easily have been one of those cars. And another issue is, people found it very odd that the friend Tiffany was fighting with outside her house, that she was froze out by Tiffany's family. The mother of the friend actually came to their house as well and got kicked off their property. And people find that very odd and very strange and question it. You know what? I don't question it at all. And I don't blame them at all because as a parent, they probably thought or felt that if Tiffany didn't get verbally attacked by that girl that night, Tiffany wouldn't have been upset and she probably wouldn't have left, which means that she would still be alive. And yes, I know that Tiffany upset her friend herself because she used her debit card without her permission. But it's completely understandable that her friend wants to confront Tiffany, and it's completely understandable that she's upset, but there's absolutely no reason to shout and scream at Tiffany in public. She could have went inside and had a grown-up discussion and not make a huge scene in front of everyone. That would have been so embarrassing and humiliating for Tiffany. So I actually completely understand that Tiffany, she got angry. It was a private matter that they could have sorted inside the house and not in public. So I did a deep dive into this case, trying to find some new clues and information and some realistic theories about what might have happened. My video is almost at the end, but there is something that I really have to say. The more I look at the autopsy report, look at the train, look at the injuries on Tiffany's body, the more I'm convinced that this wasn't a murder. Let me explain why. Again, I have to say viewers' discretion is advised because this can be very hard to hear and watch. If this in fact was a murder and she was killed, put on the rails to cover the crime, then what position did they lay her in? Because I tried to set up a scenario with different positions and none of them matches the injuries found on Tiffany's body, unless she was standing up, facing the train. I know a lot of items were found in the area, like a sweater, small rusty knife, a keychain, a rusty axe, some latex gloves with material on them that could be blood. But I have to say, when I'm climbing the mountains in Turkey and walking in the forests looking for a missing person, I find so many things that's so weird that people left behind. it's shoes, it's flip-flops, it's underwear, it's backpacks, it's t-shirts and normal shirt for men and a lot more. It really, really doesn't have to mean that it's related to Tiffany. But in my opinion, this was not a murder. And I don't think it was an intended suicide as well. I think it was a very, very tragic accident. And I'm absolutely heartbroken for the family because as a mother myself, I see and feel the pain and heartbreak in Diane. I hope and pray you will all find peace and closure and find the answers that you're looking for. I send you my prayers, love, and my condolences. So that's it for today's video. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think. And please don't go without hitting that subscribe button. All you have to do is lift this one, boop, and then you subscribe. Boop, the notification bell, the like button. Until the next one, take care and stay safe. Bye!